Adding dynamic icons to your Power BI report plays a crucial role in almost any Power BI report. The problem though is that there are not so many icons to choose from when you set up the conditional formatting rule. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to add your own custom icons that you can use for conditional formatting. I know what you're thinking. Can I not just use measures to return the icon images that I want based on a certain rule? Yes, you can. However, then you have to deal with a lot of SVG or base64 code inside of your measures or calculated columns, or you need to have external links to the images that are hosted somewhere. And that can be very annoying, especially if you want to use the same icons also in different reports. Now, let me show you. Now, over here, we have a matrix visual that shows the status percentage versus the target percentage. So what is the progress versus where we should be for different projects? So these are project names. Now, right next to it, I want to add little icons. Now, let's also have a look at the data view. And here you find the corresponding columns for project, status percentage, and target percentage, as well as a date column. We are tracking our progress by month. So if we put a filter in place, let's say we pick alpha, then for each month we have a snapshot. What is the status percentage versus where we should be, the target percentage. All right, now let me get rid of that filter again over here. Now here on the right hand side, you see I have already some measures set up with the SVG code for the icons that I want to use, because I want to have 8 different icons depending on what the status is. If we are behind the target, I want to show red circles. If we are on track, then I want to show green circles. Now I say circles because in total I want to show 4. If the status percentage, the progress, is between 0 and 25%, then I want to have 1 filled circle and then 3 unfilled or gray circles. If we are with the progress between 25 and 50%, then I want to have 2 filled circles and 2 unfilled circles, etc. All right, so 2 times 4, 8 different variations. And for each variation, I have a 1 measure over here. Now, here you see, this is the SVG code that returns the image. Now, when you use SVG code in Power BI, you always have to watch out that it needs to start over here with data image SVG XML UTF-8. That always needs to be there. What follows after is just standard SVG code. And now to return these images, we can either make use of a calculated column or a measure. Now here you see a calculated column, which has the conditional logic that I explained just before. All right, and then returns one of the icons, the corresponding icon for that condition. All right, now with a measure, we could do exactly the same. So let me also show you the measure variation. You see the same logic as the calculated column. All right, now another thing that you have to watch out for is that the measure or the calculated column has here as the data category, the image URL option. All right, otherwise it doesn't show it as an image, but just that SVG code from before. So you see a lot of code, especially SVG code, that we need to integrate somewhere. Now, of course, you could also not put it in separate measures, but for me, that feels a little bit cleaner. All right, now once you have that, you can go to the report view, and now you can add the column or the measure to the visual. So let's select the visual over here. And now I would like to add it to values. So add data, go over here to the calculated column or the measure, select it. And you see we have our images. I just have to make it a little bit bigger so that you can see all of them. And that's it. Now, is this so bad? Well, if you have a lot of these icon images that you want to use in your Power BI report, then you're going to have a lot of these icon measures, or you do not create these measures, but then you have to embed it in your other measures, and that can become kind of messy because the SVG code or base64 code is quite long. And another consideration is that you have to do that for every single report where you want to use them. And maybe within your organization, you want to be kind of consistent of which icons you use, and maybe you also have your own organizational icons or that are specific to your domain. And also, if you want to share it with other colleagues that want to use these icons, then this is really annoying. Every single time you have to figure out, what is the SVG code for that image? So, is there a better way? Well, of course there's a better alternative. Let me show you. I'm going to undo what I did before. So let's go back to the matrix visual And let's get rid of the little icons that we added. Okay, now we're going to use the same conditional logic as before, but I have created here a separate measure, which is called status icon measure CF rule. You see the same conditions. We are checking project progress, and we are checking project progress versus the project target. All right, so basically two conditions that we need to check to see which icon to return. But over here, I'm not returning the SVG code of the icon, but I'm returning a number because we're going to use the built-in rule-based conditional formatting on basis of these two conditions. All right, now let's add it to the visualization on values. All right, then we can go to formatting, cell elements, and that is where we find the conditional formatting. And we want to apply it to the status icon measure CF rule measure. Then here we want to add icons, so let's turn that on. And let's click here on the FX button to open the conditional formatting options. Now, here we have, first of all, where we want to apply to, values only, that's fine. Then the measure that we want to base it on, well, this is the measure, that's also fine. We want to have only the icon, and over here I want to have it in the middle, and here we can choose the style. Now, these are all the icons options that we can choose from. And it doesn't contain yet those icons, well, that I really want to have, our own custom icons. So for the moment, I just leave it as it is. And first, let's set up the rules. So I'm going to have here, the rule is equal to 1 and number, then I want to have this icon. Now, then we can continue all the way up to 8. So let me do that quickly. So you see, we have now 8 rules set up where we check what gets returned, what condition is true. And then the next step is to choose the corresponding icons. Now, let me go to the first one. Now, here I need, well, 8 variations of a similar, well, icon. So we could go for these ones or maybe add these blocks over there. So for the first one, we are behind and we are somewhere between 0 and 25%. So I'm going to go here for this one. All right, and I choose similar icons for the next one. So let me do that quickly. Okay, that's done. And then we can click here on OK. Boom. And you see here for the project Epsilon there, and we finished 100 out of 100. So we are on track and we have 4 out of 4 bars filled. Now let's go to one where we are behind. For example, beta. There you see the status percentage. Progress is 30%. Target is 40%. So therefore we get the gray one. And we are between 25 and 50%. So therefore 2 are filled, 2 are not filled. Okay, so that is working. However, these are not the icons that I want to use. I want to have my own custom icons or icons from my organization that everybody within my team or organization needs to use. So how do we get those in? Now, at the moment, we only have these options over here. And what we are going to do is embed the icons into the theme so that they show over here. So whenever somebody is going to use our organizational Power BI theme, they have the icons straight away there. They don't have to bother with any SVG or base64 code. All right, now let me show you how to do it. First of all, we need our theme file. So take the one that you have, or if you don't have any, you can also go here to view, themes, and from here you can just say that you want to save the current theme. Now I'm going to call this one company example theme. And now you can open it up in any text editor. However, it's a little bit nicer if you have, for example, Visual Studio Code. And then you can just take that JSON file and open it up in there. All right, so here we have our JSON file, but it's a little bit difficult to read because everything is on one line. And why Visual Studio Code is nice is because you can just right click now and say format document, boom, and you have everything in a readable format. Now, of course, you can also go to a website that can format your JSON code, copy it over there, format it and then copy it back. However, here in Visual Studio Code, you also have the color coding, which is another advantage. Okay, but that's not the main point. What we need to do is a small adjustment. We're going to add the icons there right after line 49 in this theme, right? So it says good. Okay, so over here, we're going to add our icons. And then you need to put in a colon and then curly brackets, open and close. Okay, and in between, we're going to add the icons. So the first icon we can call status bad and then maybe 0. All right. And then again, curly bracket open. And don't forget a colon right before that curly bracket like this. And then we're going to have a description, which will show up when we hover over that icon. All right, and we need the URL. So that's going to be the SVG or base64 code. So here we can say URL. Okay, now for the description, you can come up with something nicer, but I think I'm just going to copy here also the name of that icon. Well, what is the name of the icon? Why do we need that one? And why is the description not enough? Because, well, we can refer to that icon that we want to return also by its name, what is written over here. And the description can be something completely different. So that's up to you. So in this case, I just want it to be the same. Then we need a comma at the end, and then over here, the URL. Now, what goes in between, that's going to be our SVG code. Now, how do we get the SVG code of the icons? And where do we get the icons from in the first place? So here we have two options. You can take the SVG code from icons that you find online, for example, on svgviewer.dev. So you see, we have all different kinds of icons that we can search for. It gives you the SVG code, and that is what you can copy over. Or you build your own icons. So over here, I have a PowerPoint with the icons that I want to add, the 8 variations. And these I can export as SVG images. So I go here, say that I want to save it as SVG. So over here we have scalable vector graphics format. All right, put it wherever you like, and then click here on save. Now, which ones do you want to export? You can do it one by one, or you just say all slides, and that's it. And that will give you all 8 SVG images. Now, let me open one also in a text editor. So I'm going to drop one of them again on this Visual Studio Code. And here we have the SVG code also on one line. Now, let me just go over here to View, turn Word Wrap On so that you can see it a little bit better. There you go. All right, so that is the SVG code of that image that I created in PowerPoint. So also this code, you can copy over to this SVG viewer over here. And let me zoom out a bit. So you see, this is showing the 4 circles and all of them are filled. However, it also has that background there, which is a little bit annoying. I don't really want that. Now here you see this SVG code is kind of understandable, right? If you want to have more details of how SVG works, just check out this video over there. Now, here you see there's a 1 tag for the rectangle. You can just take it out if you don't want this white background for your circles. Okay, and that's it. Now, this is the code that we can now copy over for the URL. However, you have to watch out, because if you would just copy this over, then it wouldn't work, because, well, it needs to be in between double quotes. And here within the SVG code, you also have these double quotes. So those you need to get rid of. Again, you can just do this in any text editor. So I'm just going to go back here. So let me press Ctrl H, and then I want to search for double quotes, and I want to replace them with single quotes. Okay, and then click on Yes, Replace. And then we can copy this over to our theme file. So I'm gonna go here between these double quotes, paste it in there, and let me scroll a little bit to the left. Let's also here turn Word Wrap On so that you see the entire code. Now here, this doesn't work just yet, because here at the beginning, there, we still need this part, data, image, SVG plus XML, UTF-8. That is something that you always need also when you use SVG in measures or calculated columns. Now, another thing that we said is that we don't want to have that rectangle, so I'm just going to take the rectangle out, just like this. Now, normally this SVG code would work if you are using it in measures or calculated columns. But when we embed icon images within themes, we still need to make one more adjustment, which drove me nuts, because at the beginning I thought, okay, why is this not working? But this last small adjustment is really important, and that is the hashtags that you have there for color codes. Those you need to replace with a percentage sign and then 23. All right, so you need to do that for all of them and make sure that you don't skip one. All right, so double check that all of the hashtags for your hex code, which is for the color, right, start with percentage 23 instead of hashtag, instead of the pound symbol. Okay, so I also replaced the other hashtags, and now I just have to do it for the other 7. All right, now let me do that also quickly. And now you see I have embedded 8 icons inside of my theme. So the next thing is to maybe give my theme a different name. So this is my company theme, all right? And now we can save it. Now let's go back to Power BI, import the theme and see if we can use our icons. Now here we are back. Let's go again to View from the ribbon, open it up, and here I'm going to browse for themes and I'm going to select the one that we just created, company example theme.json. And if I've done everything correctly and didn't forget a comma or something like that, then it should work, but there's an error. So let me quickly open it back up. And over here, it can be a pain to find the error. So always make small changes, double check if the theme is working. But I think it's because I have there a capital I for icons. Let's try lowercase, save it again. And I'm going to go back to Power BI and let's try it again. So I'm going to browse for themes, import the newly saved theme. All right, no errors. So if you encounter an error, it's probably because of a missing comma or a missing bracket. You have to be very, very careful. And sometimes it's kind of tricky to find where you went wrong. And now the moment of truth, let's go to the conditional formatting rule that we set up before and see if we now can choose different icons. So I'm going to open it up again. And here we have the icons, click on it. Now here at the top, that all looks the same. But if I scroll down, there we have our new custom icons that show up here because we embedded them into the theme. And why is this so nice? Because I don't have to bother with any SVG code once I've set it up in the theme, and it can be reused for other reports as well. And you can give that theme to your colleagues and they don't have to bother. And you can have as many icons as you like. And this can be a big time saver because I don't have to look up the SVG code every single time I need a certain icon. No, it's already embedded inside of the theme, which makes it also a bit cleaner, right? Because I don't need to have that SVG code in a separate measure or embed it into my measures. No, I can just pick up the icon here in the default conditional formatting window. Now it's also easier to reuse these icons in different reports where you have that same organizational theme with these icons embedded, which then also makes it easier to share these icons, especially relevant when you want to create some consistency between all of the reports that are created within an organization and that you use the organizational icons. All right, so let me pick up here the icons that we just added to our theme. So over here, when you hover over it, you see also the description, status bad 0, status bad 25, etc. So I'm going to change them quickly. Now, there you go. Now we can click on OK, and boom, there we have our own custom icons. Now let's see if that also works for the other periods. I'm going to switch the periods. I see, yeah, they nicely adjust. Perfect. And I'm pretty sure that some of you are thinking, would this also work with base64 encoded images, which basically means that you store something like an image in a text format. Now, let me first show you how you can do the encoding and then how to embed it into the theme. So over here, I'm in a website like codebeautify.org, SVG to base64 converted, but there are many. And then here we can put in the SVG code. So let me do that. Now, after uploading the SVG image, you see we have over here a preview of how the image looks like. All right. Then here we see the HTML code with that tag image source data image SVG XML base64. All right, and then that long text string. Now, this has 1,673 characters, but the more complex your image is, the longer it gets, right? So which one do we actually need of these three? We're going to use the second one with that opening tag, right? So I'm going to copy it, go back to my theme, and here in the theme, we can replace our SVG code with the base64 code. Now, here you have to watch out. We don't need that closing tag over there. So this you can get rid of. And we can also remove this opening tag there at the beginning. Perfect. Then save it again. Go back to Power BI. And once more, we can browse for themes and import the newly saved theme with one image being in base64 format. Now, as I only changed one of the icons, how do you know it works? Well, let's select the visual. Let's go have a look at the icons. And when the image looks like this, you know it's not good because that is an image placeholder. So I made a mistake. Let's go back to your text editor or Visual Studio Code in my case. And I see what I've done wrong. Here, this beginning part, image source is equal to, we can remove and just leave data image. Save it again and try it once more. So again, I'm going to import the theme. So browse for themes, company example theme. And after importing it, select the image, go back here to formatting options, go to the icons. And you see, it also works. We have our icon, the first one, which is the base64 encoded image format. All right, good. So let's click OK. Let's have a look at the matrix. Let's just play around with the formatting to make it look a little bit better. I'm going to place the icons in the middle and get rid of the header that we have there. So I'm going to go here to the builds panel, and I'm just going to rename it with a space so that nothing shows there at the top. Then we can make this a little bit wider. If you don't want it to be on the right hand side, then you can just go to formatting, cell elements, and then here for that field, we go back to the conditional formattings and say, okay, icon alignment is in the middle, but that is vertically. How to horizontally align it? Well, for that, we have to go to specific column. And then here you see we have the alignment as well for that series, and it needs to be in the middle. Okay, and that's it. This is how you can embed custom icons into your themes and reuse them for all of your reports and share it throughout your organization. All right, now let me know what you think. Put your comments in the comment section below. Now, if you want to watch more videos with visualization and design tricks, then check out these 2 videos over here. And if you want to build full reports from beginning to end and learn all of my tips and tricks, how I build successful reports for my clients every single time, then check out my upcoming design transformation program over here. Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video.